All right, and finally, here we go. Welcome into the Rant. I'm Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday around noonish. Today, okay, so you want to hear the full story? Why are we starting the show at 1:16 p.m. Central Standard Time when typically I'd like to try and get started around noon? Here's why. Today is a different day. Today is a different day here at the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the beautiful E Gallery in Dallas's fantastic design district. Because it's a dog day. That's right. The dog is here. CeeLo the Beast Hound. CeeLo, where you at? Where you at? I got to make sure she's here. All right, there she is. Hello, young lady. There she is, ladies and gentlemen. Now you don't need to see her because I'd have to screw with the camera. But here's the deal. So there's some stuff going on at the house, and as everyone who has been listening to this show for 3 years now knows that I'm in possession of an animal that doesn't like anybody but like 4 people. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. 4 people she's okay with. Everybody else is just meat to her. So she had to be removed from the house today because people were going to be coming in and out, and she don't like that. So she's here at the E Gallery with us, and she's running around and she's having fun, and that's good for her. So got it all to ourselves. I just hope somebody doesn't come in because I just locked it up. We had people here earlier. She was stowed in another room. But okay, so if I seem a little distracted, it's because there is a hellhound walking around. Oh, why am I late? So why does that make me late? Okay, so that's what. Okay, so when I left the house this morning, I was handling the dog. I had her dog bed. I had, some snacks for her. It's like leaving the house with an infant. You gotta have your baby bag. You gotta have all this stuff. I mean, that's not how it used to be. It used to just be, come on, boy, get in the truck, and you just go. But now, the dog needs stuff. It's a modern dog. So I forgot everything else. I forgot my computer. I forgot my work bag. I drive all the way in here, getting ready to start the show at noon. And then I'm like, oh, crap. So I had to drive all the way back. And then I drove all the way back. And then the show was going to start at around 12:40, right? Then somebody unexpectedly showed up. And I had to talk to them because they're an old friend and they're a good person and they're interested in doing some business. So that's why we're so late. I do apologize. All right, what is this show? It's a daily attempt at doing talk radio the way it isn't done anywhere else. What is that? It's not partisan. I don't care how you voted. You shouldn't care how I voted. You probably can't tell how I voted. I don't give any hints. I'm all over the road, man. I take it as it comes, and I believe that that's how most of us are. However, for those of us who still enjoy talk radio, we're not really welcome in civilized talk radio circles, if you will. And by civilized, I mean traditional AM talk radio. They laugh at people like us. We're either a rhino or a libtard or, whatever. I don't know, man. I call myself a moderate. I call myself a dead center American. Sometimes I'm left, sometimes I'm right. And that's what this is a talk radio for. Us. Nobody's talking to us. Now, that doesn't mean we don't allow the idiots on the right and the idiots on the left to sometimes come through here. Hell, we've got a couple of idiots on the right and idiots on the left in good standing in our chat room. Let's say hi to the chat room. Every day we got people. Every day our friends. 3 years. We come here every day. We talk about stuff. Peter's here. Hi, Peter. Okay, so now, see, I can only look at 5 posts at a time, and Peter posted 5 times. So Peter. All right. So there you go. Oh, we got Kim, but she's like half of Peter. We got Frankie. Who else do we got? Let's see. Let me try and go back as far as Jeff, Byron, Cece. There we Barney. All right. Sports Bras, Mikey D, Taronda. All right. We're good. Come one, come all. Be a regular in the chat room every day. What do I need to mention? No, that's not somebody knocking, stupid. My dog just thought somebody was knocking at the door, and she started to get her hair went up. She's like, I'm going to kill somebody. Hi, Chuck. Chuckles is in the chat room. Good to see you. We got a bunch of stuff to get into today. Got some new developments in the plane crash, so we're gonna go over that. And then just a bunch of fun stuff. I mean, I like to say that I try and give you all the news that you need to know, but honestly, since I don't want to do any more politics or look, the only news that we're being given for the most part, other than tragedy, is like, why is this political party off? And I can't do news like that. So we've been doing more fun things. I've been looking around for like stories that you're not really hearing being discussed, probably because they're nonsense. But we're gonna do stuff like that. Like, did you hear about the war going on inside the UFC between some fighter I've never heard of and Dana White? Oh my God, that's a crazy little fun thing happening. We'll talk about that. What else do we need to discuss? We're going to watch some video of a local news story about a South Oak Cliff cheerleading squad is turning some heads. Stay tuned for that. What else are we going to talk about? Let me see. Let me quickly go through here. The show plays out in 4 quarters. I perform it as a stream of consciousness, which is just me extemporaneously speaking. And because it's a stream of consciousness, we have a tendency to go into the weeds. So what I like to do is I've created 4 quarters, 4 different segments that sort of keep me on track during the course of the daily show. First one we call Antecedently on This Day. It's this day in history. That's all it is. Quarter 2 is birthdays, celebrities. We go through some celebrities, some historical figures. We decide whether or not we like them. And if so, happy birthday. If not, go kick rocks. Quarter 3 is deads. People who died on this day. Where'd they go? Heaven or hell? That's a fun one. And quarter 3 is the rest of the topics. Topics like Justin Tucker. We're going to talk a little football. We're going to talk about Justin Tucker, the greatest kicker the NFL has ever known. And now there's a whole new paragraph on his Wikipedia page. We'll talk about that. More January 6ers. Oh, God, every day now. Every day, one of you knucklehead January 6 guys who got pardoned is doing something. I got the latest. I got the latest on another January 6 pardon guy who just can't handle life outside the walls, man. What else do we have here? We got some deaths. We'll talk about some deaths. We'll talk about, we're going to get into a conversation about the subject called sexomnia. Some dude raped a girl and claimed he had sexomnia, and I'll tell you how the judge ruled, and we'll talk about that. Your Honor, I didn't mean to rape her while we both slept. I was dreaming. Okay, and a whole bunch of other things that we'll get into today. But first, wanted to talk a little bit about small talk segment. Small talk segment alert. That's right. I forgot to tell you, we do a little small talk segment. That's what this is. So last night, I did, the world is weird. Remember a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about, is it Irving Azoff or Ahmed Erdogan or one of these guys, one of these old school record company guys, one of these icons of the American music industry. They announced they were going to do a That's What Friends Are For style concert, benefit concert for fire relief. Fire aid is what they called it. We talked about it. It sounded like a lot of good bands. And I was like, this could be a big deal. Well, it was last night, and it wasn't a big deal at all. It was everywhere. I mean, it was on. I started to notice it around about 8 o'clock. I would go to the Hulu app, and it's like, Fire Aid. And I'm like, oh, cool. And I jump over to the HBO app, excuse me, HBO Max. They're like, Fire Aid. I'm like, oh, cool. And then Netflix, Fire Aid. So it was everywhere, but I don't feel like I got the appropriate amount of hype. Hell, I didn't even talk about it yesterday on the show because there was no news story that was front and center that was jumping out on all the different. I didn't even see a news story reminding me that Fire Aid was last night. So anyway, it was big all-star concert. I don't know where it was. I didn't watch that much of it. I tuned in. All right. So it said tune in at 7 o'clock. So I tuned in at 7 o'clock and I watched a bunch of videos. It was a bunch of videos. I watched a Katy Perry video. I watched an Olivia Rodrigo video and it said Fire Aid and it had the number. And I'm like, what is this? Is this all video? It's 7:20. Well, West Coast time. They didn't bother to say that on any of the sites. So it started at 9. It started at 7 o'clock California time, 9 o'clock our time. So I'm like, oh, okay. I got an hour and a half now to waste. So, of course, I was like, okay, I'll do something for an hour and a half, and then I'll tune in right at 9 o'clock and see how this thing starts. as will inevitably happen, I will do whatever it is that I plan on doing for an hour and a half, and that will turn into an hour and 15 or an hour and 45 minutes. And then I'll miss the beginning. I'll be like, oh, I forgot. I wanted to be. So that's what happened. So I missed the beginning. And then when I did tune in, it was something terrible. It was just terrible. Somebody's grandma sitting in a chair just singing. I think it was Joni Collins or Judy Collins. Is that a person? That's a person, right? I think it was her. So I tuned out and I'm like, okay, this better get better than that. So I tuned out and I started doing something. I think I started watching The Penguin on HBO Max. God, The Penguin is good, guys. The Penguin is so good. I just jumped in a couple of nights ago, so I'm on like episode 5 now. The Penguin is so good. So then I jumped back to Fire Aid, and I just happened, it's just random. This is just the one thing I'm gonna watch, I guess. And I see the band Dawes. Are you familiar with the band Dawes at all? Oh, they're a great little country rock California band type outfit. Very well, their whole brand and their whole image is that they're sort of a modern version of the great Laurel Canyon bands of the 1960s and early to mid 1970s, which I personally think is a super cool sort of music scene, a super cool moment in time, cultural creation and all that. Great moment. And people talk about Paris in the 20s. I want to talk about Laurel Canyon in the 60s. So that's the kind of their whole vibe, Dawes. And they're good. They're really good. But here's the crazy thing. Again, this is me just flipping. I just randomly, there's like a million bands. And this is like, boom, I tune in randomly. I'm like, oh yeah, I should watch that. And it's this band Dawes. And I start watching it. There's another reason. I buried the lead. There's another reason I'm interested in this band. And it's because the band's guitar player is a person that I've known since they were like 5, maybe 6 or 7. And the guitar player in Dawes is an incredibly gifted guitar player. He's a studio guy. Started out as he's not an actual member of Dawes. He's their touring guy. He's been with them for like 10 years, but he's plays on everybody's albums. He is probably, and God, I can't even say he's like 40 now. Oh my God, he's 40. He's probably the most sought after blues style modern rock guitarist out there. Like his blues influence is incredible. He grew up in Chicago. He grew up with but here's why it's interesting, this guitar player for Dawes. Not only have I known him since he was like 7 years old, but I am responsible for his first guitar. That's right. This person that I just randomly tuned into Fire Aid last night, and I'm looking at the stage and I'm seeing a dude playing guitar, and I'm like, I got that dude his first guitar. That dude's now like, when you give when a kid gets a guitar, you think, maybe he'll pluck or he'll lose interest. No, this dude actually went on from the first guitar. So here's the story, a little backstory. I didn't buy it. This kid who plays guitar in Dawes is the son of one of the most talented and probably the funniest radio talk show host in the history of radio talk shows. That's a guy by the name of Kevin Matthews. And I came up in radio as, look, I owe everything to him. I'd have been absolutely nothing. I was one of like a half dozen interns in a corral. And for some reason, he said, let's put that guy on the street. And so I got my shot on, interestingly enough, 33 years ago Sunday, Groundhog's Day, 1992, Kevin Matthews said, we need somebody to dress up like a groundhog and just harass people on the street for a couple of segments on Monday. And he looked at me and he goes, you in? And I go, yeah. So I'm like, yeah, okay. So not only did I get to become an intern working for free on my favorite radio show, but now I was like going to be introduced. I didn't even have a nickname yet. I wasn't even Pugs yet. So anyway, so that's Kevin Matthews. I've talked about him a lot. His son is the lead guitar player for Dawes. Trevor is his name. Anybody who knows Kevin Matthews, you know Trevor. You've heard Trevor a whole lot. Trevor did this. Trevor did that. So it's just amazing to me that I randomly tune into an all-star show. Dawes is not a big band. They're like a middle act band. You know, they're not a huge, but they're successful enough. They tour. They play with big bands. You know, they toured with ELO just last year. I mean, the real Jeff Lynne, like, you know, not like some offshoot. So, I mean, they're a real band. And just for me to randomly tune in and like, oh, let's check in on Fire Aid. And then boom, the first thing I see is like a kid. And I'm like, I got him his first guitar. And now look at him. It's not wrong at all, as a matter of fact. But is it weird to feel, oh, by the way, how did I get him his first guitar? I got him his first guitar because I was his dad's little grunt boy. And his dad ordered his first guitar from some specialty shop in a really bad neighborhood in Chicago. And he's like, hey, anybody want to go down there and pick this guitar up for Trev? I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'm like, but I ain't coming back. I'm keeping it at home for the night. I'll bring it back in the morning. They're like, okay. So I went to some really sketchy, like, dude's apartment who had built this, like, special guitar for him, some, like, old blues man. And I kept it and I played with it. And then the next day I brought it in and he got it for Christmas that year. And not only did he not give up the guitar after playing it for a couple of weeks, he became one of the most incredible guitar players in music. So that was so cool last night. And it's nice. It is nice to see your friends' children or your colleagues' children do really cool things. And you know, don't be competitive. Yeah, I don't know if your kid did nothing. Don't be competitive. Be happy. It's neat. It's neat when you see a little kid who from the time he was probably 10 only wanted to be a guitar player, now at 40 on this Fire Aid benefit, playing in a legit band, making it. That's just wonderful. So good for him. Adam says they played the Bomb Factory last time they played headlining. They're decently big. I love that they don't have a middle. They just do 2 sets. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Look, they make a living. They don't have to have side jobs. Trevor makes a good living. He's a comfortable working guitar player. You know, they're not Maroon 5, right? I mean, I guess that's the scale that we're measuring against. Anyway, I thought that was really nice. And that's all I saw. That's it. Oh, I saw a video where Katy Perry runs around in a bikini and I thought, I mean, I wasn't against it. I was just, All right, let's get started. Katy Perry's. Here's why I said, looking at Katy Perry's body running around. Katy Perry's got a spectacular body, but it's definitely a 1978 bikini body. She's got a 1978 bikini body. It's all natural. Those are real curves. She's got a little bit of weight in extra places, but there she is. She looked great. I bet you there are some people, well, no, I don't know, because heavy women are now in, right? She maybe even a little heavy. I don't know. She looked good. She looked good, but different. She looked different good in a bikini. She looked like 1978. I don't know what to do. All right, let's get started. It is The Rant. I'm Pugs Moran, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the beautiful E-Gallery. It is the 31st day, the final day of the first month of the year 2025. 31 days have passed in this year. There are 334 remaining, so get those New Year's Eve plans started. Want to mention, just before we get started, the show runs on your tips and your gratuities. I'd like to encourage each and every one of you, if you're moved by this kind of talk radio, you want to see it continue, non-political, non-divisive, just nonsense talk where people can hang out. You're going to make a decision? Sorry, I'm looking at the dog. The dog is just standing over her bed like, I don't know. Do I want to? Why don't you lay down? You should lay down. You can tip the show anytime. And if you are today's big tipper, what do? We reward the big tipper of each and every day with the title of executive producer. And today it's Cece. He dropped in yesterday. Thank you so much, Cece. Appreciate that. Yesterday's big tipper is today's executive producer. Today's big tipper will be Monday's executive producer. So if you're so inclined, go ahead, drop a little something like that. Let's get started with the rant. Quarter 1. We call it Antecedently on This Day. There are events that have occurred on this day throughout history. cherry pick a couple. 1606, the gunpowder plot. You know what that is? Gunpowder plot is where they tried to kill King James. Is that who it was? Anyway, King James, what was this about? The gunpowder plotters, like Guy Fawkes, the Guy Fawkes mask. I don't even know what that represents. It's creepy. Like you see people like with the Guy Fawkes mask, and I go, I don't know what that means, but it's weird. Because the people wearing them are always weird. That's why. That's the only reason that's a sinister mask. It's because the people wearing them are always bizarre people. Anyway. I think it was about Catholics versus Anglicans, the Church of England. I think that's what it was about. They tried to kill the king. Anyway, on this day, antecedently, 1606, the gunpowder plot. On this day in 1865, the American Civil War, the United States, excuse me, 1865, Civil War, Congress passes the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution, abolishing slavery, and submits it to the states for ratification. That's why I wanted to pronounce that. I wanted to go slow on that one. Kind of a big moment. Sort of a litmus test moment. There's a podcast. I just came up with another podcast. No one would listen to it. Nobody likes my podcast ideas. All right, here's the idea. We'll get some smart guy, some smart historian guy, and he gives us a list of names of the people who on this day, the members of Congress who voted for slavery, the ones who wanted it still. And then here's the podcast. We hunt down their ancestors and we interview them and see how they feel about it. That's a podcast. Maybe not. Maybe not. Antecedently on this day in 1957, 8 people, 5 total crew from 2 aircraft and 3 on the ground in Pacoima, California are killed following a mid-air collision between a Douglas DC-7 commercial airliner and a Northrop F-89 Scorpion fighter jet. Weird, huh? 1857. Jeez Louise. Yeah, it's like, well, we know these things have happened before, but man, always a military jet and always a military thing and always a commercial airliner. Ugh. Antecedently on this day in 1961, Project Mercury, Redstone 2. What is this one? You don't know. What do you know? I was born on the day we landed on the moon, so I'm a geek on all of this stuff. Today is the day. Well, I'll show you what today is the day we did. Look at this. Here you go. Real American hero. Boom.
This chimpanzee will pave the way into space. His name is Ham. He has a different training regimen than human astronauts, including shocks to his feet if his attention strays from the instrument panel. But his job is paramount. Prove that a primate can function in space.
So this was how you were able to, what they would have called at the time, man-rate the vehicle.
All 3 start panel lights are correct. Mercury go, and American lights on. T-minus 18 and counting.
Since the embarrassment of Mercury 1, they think they've fixed the rocket.
Minus 10, 9.
But will the capsule keep Ham alive?
6. 0, 1 second. Lift off.
Mercury 2 punches through the Florida sky with the hopes of the program.
All right, so you get what's going on here. This was early on in that we didn't know if, you could survive going up and down from space. So it was on this day that we took Ham, the robot. We stuffed him into the robot, the monkey, cute little monkey. We stuffed him in there and we sent him up. And imagine what this monkey was going through. Like this monkey we'll watch, keep watching. We stuck a monkey in there just to see what would happen. That half of them expected it to come back with monkey guts all over the capsule. They had no idea.
Riding on a 3-year-old chimp.
We are correct.
The capsule loses pressure, but Ham's spacesuit keeps him alive. He pulls levers and pushes buttons as trained. They know he's conscious, but don't...
All right, so let's not overstate he was trained. He went through 18 months of training. How does he pull the lever? Well, here's what happens. For 18 months, he sat in this capsule, and every time the light turned red, he got shocked in his feet until he pulled a lever. So over the course of 18 months, they brutalized this monkey with shocks until he figured out that, I mean, I'm sure it happened accidentally. I'm sure he just accidentally hit the lever the first time and it stopped. And then it happened again. Anyway, that's how they trained it. So, and by the way, throughout the course of in space, like he's up there and they're shocking him. So he's going through all of these G's. The spacesuit he was in, I mean, it did the job, but it probably wasn't great. He's taking these G's, and all the while they're shocking him. And then at some point, here they'll explain.
Know if he'll endure re-entry.
We're receiving data again. Let us know when you regain the signal.
Ships find Ham's capsule in the wide open Atlantic. They whisk it aboard.
All right, so while he was doing re-entry, he stopped responding, meaning the lights were going and he wasn't hitting the levers. They're like, he's not responding. So throughout the entire re-entry, they were hammering the shocks to his feet. They're just like, get him to respond, damn it, get him to respond. He never responded. So this poor monkey, they think he passed out. They think he passed out, and they were just shocking a passed out monkey.
And opened the hatch to see if Ham survived.
He was a little dehydrated, he was a little fatigued, but they gave him an apple and he liked that.
He has nothing more than a bruised nose. Everyone hopes the first human in space will be so lucky.
There he is. Look at him, ladies and gentlemen. That's Ham, a real American hero. Now, you might be wondering, what happened to Ham after that? Ham lived out the rest of his days in a zoo. He died. How long did Ham live? Well, it happened on this day, on this very day in 1961. Ham lived till like 1983. He lived like another 23 years. And interestingly enough, he died of like liver cancer. Ham died of like cirrhosis of the liver. Was he a drinker? You know, they say most of these astronauts, man, you know, they go up there and then they come back down here and they got to live the rest of their life down here. And they're like, I have done the most incredible thing. Nothing, no earthbound experience will ever top that. So all the astronauts become drunks. They all become like alcoholics. It sounds like Ham did the same thing. Ham was like, man, I got to tell you, Ham's sitting around the monkey house with the other monkeys. You guys ever been up to space? He says. And they're like, no. He's like, what? You guys never got stuck in a capsule? And the other monkeys are like, dude, no. Poor Ham. On this day in 1961. On this day in 1988, Doug Williams becomes the first African-American quarterback to play in a Super Bowl and leads the Washington, dare we say the name, Redskins to the world, to the Super Bowl. Good for him. All right, there you go. Those are going to be the antecedents on this day. No real big events past Doug Williams winning the Super Bowl. I guess that's it. Let's do some birthdays. Here are the celebrities claiming to have been born on this day. Celebrities, notable quotables, whatever. Born on this day in 1931. Yeah, you know, happy birthday. Happy birthday, Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks. Yeah, he's one of the tolerable Cubs. Now, he's not just one of the tolerable Cubs. Ernie Banks is one of the admirable Cubs. There's only a few. I'm a White Sox fan. I hate the Cubs, but there are a few Cubs that transcend North Side and South Side and are just icons in Chicago if you grew up there, and Ernie's one of them. So Ernie, okay. Happy birthday. Born on this day in 1931. Born on this day in 1941, Jessica Walter, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Jessica Walter is a favorite of mine because Arrested Development is like one of my favorite shows of all time. I think that for pure pound for pound laughs, man, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Arrested Development. I mean, there are just few shows that are that funny. Episode in, line after line. How about Lucille Bluth? Look at her. Look at Lucille Bluth. That's right, the mom on Arrested Development, celebrating a birthday today. She's pretty good, huh? Pretty good. There's Lucille. There she is. television's worst mom of all time. She is. I love how she played the character of Lucille Bluth. Lucille Bluth did not like her children. She didn't like them at all. They were just there and she had to tolerate them. She is the worst, best mom in the history of TV. Look at her. There she is. There's a good looking woman, man. Oh my God. She looks like Natalie Wood. Would you look at Lucille Bluth? Happy birthday, Jessica Walter. Here's what we got to do. We got to see a compilation of Lucille Bluth in action. I can't allow me to sit here and tell you that she's the worst, best mom in the history of TV. You got to see some examples. Here we go. The incredible Jessica Walter. This is her birthday. Lucille Bluth, worst mom in TV history.
Drinking contest!
Tell you what, I'll drink you for it.
Oh, I heard you don't handle your booze so well anymore.
So this should be easy for you. That one didn't count. I'll be in the hospital bar.
There isn't a hospital bar, Mother.
This is why people hate hospitals.
Lucille, minutes out of rehab, was engaging in a drinking contest at the behest of her son.
You know when you're ready, dear. Get me a vodka rocks
Mom, it's breakfast.
and a piece of toast.
Can I get you anything else, ma'am?
No, thanks. I have to get back to rehab.
She's in rehab!
How about you? Can you find some work?
Oh, sure, Michael. As what? A waiter. Can I get you something, madam?
I will have a vodka, though.
What?
All under the guise of caring about our family.
Gotta stop quoting when you drink.
Don't give me that look. I happen to be a more caring mother than most.
Where's my bed?
I put it in storage. I guess you'll just have to decide which Lucille you want to spend your nights with. I love all my children equally. I don't.
All right, there you go. Jessica Walter. Adam's right. I meant to say the best, worst mom in TV history, Jessica Walter. I think she's dead. She dead? Yeah. Oh, man. All right, what are you going to do? She's dead. Here's another one who's dead. All right, twice a year, I force my it's not insane. I force my very reasoned opinion on you twice a year, once on the anniversary of his death and once on his birthday. Unfortunately, those things happen within a month of each other. So today is the birthday of the great, underappreciated, in my opinion, one of the most important guitar players in the history of music, the late, great Terry Kath. Terry Kath. Yeah, I'm going to make you watch some Terry Kath again. Look, you guys, first of all, Terry Kath is the lead guitar player for CTA, which later changed their name to Chicago. He was a guitar player and lead singer. And I always like to point this out because the band Chicago is kind of lame. I mean, if I'm being honest, but that's only after Terry Kath left. When Terry Kath was there, man, they were a rock solid blues orchestra. I mean, it was insane. Also, he was just one of the most joyful performers you're ever going to see. He died tragically at a party playing Russian roulette. He was drunk, screwing around with a gun that he thought was empty. Riding high. He was about to make a solo album. He was exploding. This is 1977, and that's probably why in 2005, people don't know who Terry Kath is. I'm going to play a little of Terry Kath Make Me Smile because this is one of the most upbeat, enjoyable ways that you can celebrate this man. First of all, yeah, guitar, but listen to this voice. This man is Ray Charles, who can play Clapton-esque leads.
Was written by Jimmy Trombone. Jimmy Trombone. It's the real name is Ballet from a Girl in Buchanan, but most people, I guess, know it by Make Me Smile.
All I'm saying is this is not the Peter Cetera, hold me now. I really want to tell you I'm sorry. appreciate the voice. I've made you focus on the guitar.
Children play in the park. They don't know I'm alone in the dark. Even though time and time again I see your face smiling inside. I'm so happy, yeah, that you love me. Life is lovely, yeah, when you're near me. Tell me you will stay.
Sorry, that is Joe Cocker playing the lead guitar. That is who else? That is who's the great Irish singer? I can't think of. Brown Eyed Girl. Can't think. That's what that is. Damn it! I wish more than just the people who knew. I wish the pedestrian music fan had the appreciation for the great Terry Kath. Born on this day. In the year, what year was he born? 1946. Born on this day in 1947. How about this guy? We love this guy. Jonathan Banks, ladies and gentlemen. The great Jonathan Banks. Let me show you a picture of Jonathan Banks. Let me show you the Jonathan Banks that I remember, because I'm old. So is Jonathan Banks. Look at him. That's a handsome son of a bitch. Jonathan Banks with hair. Of course, we don't really recognize him here because we know him as Mike Ehrmantraut. Look at him. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Jonathan Banks has been doing TV since the 1970s. He used to play bad guys. He used to play like mafia guys. He used to play like, henchmen. And then Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad comes around and he reinvents himself. And now we all love Jonathan Banks. Mike Ehrmantraut. Born on this day, what year? Hold on. Gotta make sure I got. Why do I still have Jessica Walters' picture open? Oh, I'm so out of touch. 1947, Jonathan Banks. Born on this day also in 1947. How about Nolan Ryan? Woo! Best I ever saw? Nah, because I saw Pedro. And quite frankly, peak Pedro was like something. I remember at the time I was playing catcher and I was like, I don't want to catch you. I don't know. That's nuts. Definitely Nolan Ryan is up there. Over a period of time, being able to, stretch it out, because peak Pedro, you have to say peak Pedro. Peak Pedro was something else, man. But so was a good 10 solid years of Nolan Ryan's career. So it's those two. It's one of those two. Born on this day in 1947, the great Nolan Ryan. Fine beefman. I'll give him credit for that. I always buy the Nolan Ryan beef. I don't know if it's better. I mean, meatloaf is meatloaf, but it's got Nolan Ryan's name on it, so I'll pay the extra 50 cents. My kid thinks that's something. Like, whenever I make stuff, he's like, did you buy the Nolan Ryan? I'm like, yeah, I bought the Nolan Ryan beef. I mean, we're poor, but we're not poor. Born on this day in 1947. Born on this day in 1956. A true a-hole, through and through. Just met him twice. Don't even want to meet him a third time. He was banned from CBS radio. He could, or not. Was it CBS? I think it was CBS. He showed up at one of the Grammy things and we weren't allowed to have him on. And I'm like, good. I don't want to talk to him. I've talked to him twice before. He's an asshole. Born on this day in 1956, John Lydon. John Lydon, better known as Johnny Rotten of the Sex Pistols. I hate that guy. I hate that guy. And it's not hate against either, the Sex Pistols or Public Image Limited or any of the stuff that he's done. He's just a jerk. He's a jerk. That's his whole bit. Oh, I'm still gonna be a punk, right? And he's like 70. And it's like, dude. Ugh. Weirdo. Born on this day in 1956, Johnny Lydon. Born on this day in 1970, one of my favorite people. One of my absolute favorite people, a person that I absolutely always root for. I tell you this story. Do I have this right? Yeah. Okay. Born on this day, 1972. That's just a delightful, and I know. Minnie Driver. Oh, I love Minnie Driver. I show this picture here of Minnie Driver and Taylor Hawkins because I always tell my story of how I became bedazzled by a young Minnie Driver. Minnie Driver around about 1997, 98, maybe this was, summer of 98. She was dating Taylor Hawkins. Taylor Hawkins was in the Foo Fighters. The Foo Fighters were riding high. They had a bunch of initial hits. They're like, this band might be good. Here we are, all these years later. Minnie Driver was also riding high. I believe she just either was nominated for or had won an Oscar for like some British film that she was in. She was like a fancy British actress at this point. So there was a lot of like hubbub about them as like a cool ass Hollywood alternative rock couple. So when they played our summer kickoff bash, the Foo Fighters and a bunch of other bands, I guess Minnie Driver was on tour. So I spent an entire afternoon with Minnie Driver because this concert was being held on the same day that remember those storied Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls teams? It was the finals, and the Bulls were playing in the finals. And so the concert was coinciding with the finals. And at that time in Chicago, it was like, you can't do anything when the finals are on. Nobody's going anywhere. So we set up these viewing things outside, but backstage we created a living room, almost like a media room, a game room, where all the other bands and stuff who also wanted to watch the Jordan Bulls could sit and watch. And there were couches and stuff like that. And I was doing stage announcements for the station. So I was backstage and I'm sitting on the couch watching this game. And there's a couple other bands there too. Blink 182 was there, but they were fine. Everybody was fine. Everybody was fine. But on the couch was the Foo Fighters. The Foo Fighters were really into NBA basketball. They were really into like this game. And as I said, Taylor Hawkins was dating Minnie Driver. And so I'm sitting on the couch, and just by the luck of the seat cushions, Minnie Driver's sitting next to me, and Taylor Hawkins is totally ignoring her. Totally ignoring her. He's talking to the rest of the guys in the band. They're talking about the game. He's shouting at roadies. Dobby, you suck, man. You're totally a dude. 22-year-old rock star, good-looking dude with his famous actress girlfriend, totally ignoring her. And so she's sitting there, and I'm sitting there, and I'm watching the game because I'm actually working. I'm like just kind of taking a moment here to watch the game for a little bit. And so she turns to me, Minnie Driver, happy birthday. She turns to me and she goes, "Can you tell me exactly what it is we're watching here?" She said it like that. She said it like all British and like really kind of cute and stuff. And so I was like, yeah, you don't know what's going on here? This is so, I know Michael Jordan. Okay, so here's what's going on. I sat there for a good half hour, and Minnie and I talked, and I explained basketball and what was happening in the game. And every so often, Taylor Hawkins would look over at me, and I'm like, I got her, man. Don't worry about it. We're good. We got her. He's like, all right. She was delightful. And to this day, she's one of my favorite people, Minnie Driver. Hadn't really done much. There they are. There's Taylor Hawkins. Oh, there they are. That's like this is like the era when I was with them. This is like that era. Well, I guess there was only one era where they were together. There they are. Anyway, they were a nice couple. Look at them. Oh, she's delightful. Happy birthday, Minnie Driver. I'm a big fan of yours. I wish you'd done more. You ever seen her show, The Riches? She had a show on FX with her and Eddie Izzard, and it was called The Riches. And I think it only aired for like one season. All-star cast: Minnie Driver, Eddie Izzard, Margot Martindale. It's the first time I ever saw her. That's the first time. I'm a huge Margot Martindale fan, and the first time I ever saw her was in The Riches. She played a nosy neighbor. It's the story of gypsies, the gypsy con people who assume the identity of a wealthy family who live in this like upscale neighborhood. And Minnie Driver and Eddie Izzard play the con people, the con family. It's very good. The Riches. You should check it out. It's on Hulu. You can find it there. And you'll enjoy it. And you'll be like me. You'll be like, why wasn't there a second season? It's a delightful show. Minnie Driver, happy birthday. Born on this day, 1970. Born on this day in 1973. This is weird only because we already honored her TV mom, Jessica Walter, Born on this day in 1973, Portia de Rossi. Woo. Well, that's a shame. That's a shame. When I think about Portia de Rossi, I hope she's happy. Here's what I'll say about Portia de Rossi. Her and Deborah Messing, and I don't even know that Deborah Messing is exactly in the same category. Portia de Rossi is like a unicorn. She is a unicorn in that she is leading lady, damsel, People Magazine, sexiest woman alive, caliber beautiful. Portia de Rossi is beautiful, staggeringly so. She also, and this is where the unicorn status comes in, and where I don't really know of anybody else who can match her. She does comedy. You are typically not that beautiful and that gifted at comedy. Portia de Rossi is incredibly gifted at comedic timing. Her character of Lindsay Bluth in Arrested Development was hysterical. And it's just so rare. You look at her and you're like, well, girls that look like that aren't supposed to be funny. You're supposed to just, be pretty and be the seductress and all that. I say Deborah Messing too, because I used to watch Will and Grace and I go, she's too pretty to be this good. Deborah Messing has incredible comic timing as well. So good at doing comedy. And that's the thing. Anybody can be funny, right? Anybody can do comedy. But, it's your timing. There's a whole other kind of thing. There's a rhythm to it in your soul that you either know when to say the thing or make the noise or tweak the eye or whatever. It's timing. It's all that. Deborah Messing and Portia de Rossi are two exceptionally beautiful women. And the reason I say that, it's probably maybe not a great example, because I think Portia de Rossi is far more beautiful than Deborah Messing. But Deborah Messing is pretty. Lucy's another good example. Lucy was very pretty. Lucille Ball was very pretty. And good at comedy. All right, let's keep going. Happy birthday, Portia de Rossi. Born on this day in 1973. Born on this day in 1977. How about Kerry Washington? Kerry Washington is super famous. Don't know anything she's done. I'm sorry. She's done a lot of, she's done a lot of TV work, kinds of TV shows I don't watch, network legal dramas, that kind of thing. Wasn't she the star of Scandal? I've probably seen her in things. I don't know. I know she's pretty. I know she's another pretty. Oh my God. We've got a Kiss, Marry, Kick. I just realized it. We have got a Kiss, Marry, Kick going on here. All right, let's do Kiss, Marry, Kick. Kiss, Marry, Kick is F, Marry, Kill. It's my version because I find F, Marry, Kill vulgar. One of these three women we're going to kiss. One of these three women we're going to marry. And one of these three women we're going to kick to the curb. Let's play Kiss, Marry, Kick with Minnie Driver, Portia de Rossi, and Kerry Washington. All right, man. All right, just out of the box. Let's eliminate this one. I am marrying Minnie Driver. I've spent time around her. She's sweet. She's fun. She's like aware of everything. She's cool. I'm marrying Minnie Driver. So that leaves, who am I going to kick to the curb and who am I going to make out with? Okay. Kerry Washington and Portia de Rossi. Oh, I really want to make out with Portia de Rossi here, but am I going to feel it back? I'm not. No way, right? She's a lesbian. She's not going to be into it. It's going to be like, it's going to be all one-sided. Although, what am I thinking? Am I thinking that a straight Kerry Washington is going to be into making out with me? She's not going to be into it either. Okay. All right. Given that's the criteria, I'm going to make out with the lesbian Portia de Rossi. And we're going to have to kick Kerry Washington to the curb, which is unfortunate because, boy, she's pretty. She's really pretty. Although Kerry Washington seems a little bit like a know-it-all. Like I've seen her in interviews and stuff. She seems a little bit like she'd be trouble. So yeah, we're going to kick Kerry Washington. I'm going to make out with the lesbian and I'm going to go tell my new wife, Minnie Driver, all about it. There you go. Look at that. We had a natural. I didn't even plan on that. Kiss, Mary, Kick right here in the birthday segment. Let's end this with, we got a couple more. Sorry, a couple more birthdays. Born on this day in 1977. I want to mention this guy because he's one of my sleeper favorites. And every time I see him, I just think, oh my God, what a gentle soul. What a truly gifted guy. Happy birthday, born on this day in 1977. Often overlooked SNL cast member Bobby Moynihan. Bobby Moynihan. First, tremendous actor. I mean, I'm not talking about, of like all of those guys, I think Bobby Moynihan is the one that in like 5 years, 10 years, it's like, and the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor goes to Bobby Moynihan can act. I don't know if you've ever seen a show called Documentary Now. Documentary Now is a brilliant spoof of documentary television series that Bill Hader and Fred Armisen created for the IFC network a couple of years ago. You can find it, I think, on Hulu. Documentary Now. It is so funny. The premise of the show is that they take famous documentaries from the past, like Roger and Me. Like, remember Roger and Me? Big famous documentaries from the past, and they spoof them. But they do it all very seriously and tongue-in-cheek in a way that, you know, Bill Hader and Fred Armisen are absolutely spectacular. So one of the documentary spoofs that they did was from a documentary from the 1980s about the Pro Bowlers tour, okay? And they spoofed a documentary on Pro Bowlers, and it was called Any Given Saturday. And in this documentary, Tim Robinson is in it. He's incredible. Tim Robinson is one of the stars of this one. Dexter, the guy who plays Dexter, Michael so-and-so, Mike, I don't know, the weird guy. He's also one of the stars of it. And the third bowler in this episode of Documentary Now is Bobby Moynihan. And I am telling you, if you watch this episode, Any Given Saturday on Hulu, Documentary Now is the series, Any Given Saturday episode, you will see Bobby Moynihan in a role that is going to make you want to cry. He is so good. And I don't mean cry from humor. It's a comedy show. But Bobby Moynihan plays this marginalized, probably on the spectrum guy who was good at bowling once, and everybody picks on him and everybody's mean to him. Bobby Moynihan plays an Oscar-worthy I'm just telling you, the dude is amazing. Happy birthday, Bobby Moynihan, born on this day in 1977. And I haven't even mentioned Drunk Uncle, which is a top 5 SNL character of all time. Drunk Uncle. Born on this day in 1977, Bobby Moynihan. Born on this. Also, I should say I'm a little bit biased because when my son was little, he watched an animated show. I think it was We Three Bears. Oh, no. Might be a different one. Let's say it's We Three Bears. And Bobby Moynihan played one of the bears. And played this bear he's just such, I love him. I love him is all I'm saying. He seems like such a nice man. Born on this day in 77, Bobby Moynihan. Born on this day in 81, Justin Timberlake, JT. There you go. Those are going to be all the birthdays. Let's do the deads. Let's sentence some people to hell and elevate some to heaven. Let me check in with the chat room first. Bobby Moynihan, this comes from Adam. Bobby Moynihan is the first white Jaden in recorded history. I don't know what that means. Did I miss something? Al is appreciative of Drunk Uncle. There we go. Bunch of people giving suggestions on what I should have done in the Kiss, Marry, Kick situation. All right, let's get into the deads. These are people who've died. These are the people who've died. Let's decide, where did they go? Heaven or hell? Here we go. Guy Fawkes. Actually, all of the gunpowder plot people, let's put them all in hell. Talked about that on this day. The gunpowder plot rebellion occurred. Guy Fawkes night. All of that stuff. Put them all in hell. Creepy mask people. I got good news for you, folks. That's it. That's it for the deads. There was like absolutely nobody worthy of mention. I scammed the deads. I'm like, really? There's nobody? Guy Fawkes died on this day in 1606 along with his co-conspirators. 1606 and nobody of note? I think we're going to survive. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Remember, you can support this show anytime by simply dropping a tip in either the Cash App or the Venmo. Next week's going to start Pledge Week, so I'll give you an idea on Monday of what we're going to need to raise next week in order to keep the show going. But if you want to get ahead of that and make that number smaller, sure would be appreciated. And if you are today's big tipper, the executive producer title will be yours on Monday. Just like today's executive producer is Cece of the Sports Bride. There is a dude on television right now who looks so much like the long dead John McAfee. Who is this guy? Is this guy John McAfee? He sure as hell looks like him.
Sequence that cancer tumor, you can then vaccinate the person.
I'm watching NBC News now. All right, I don't know what he's talking about. He seems to be some expert on vaccines. Probably not John McAfee. Thank you, Cece. There you go. Cece, today's executive producer. So if you folks are so inclined and you want to be Monday's executive producer, here, I'm going to leave this up, and that's how you do it, okay? Just drop a little something there. Let's get into the stories. Oh, sorry. That was nice. I just got a nice note from somebody. We don't need to talk about it. All right. Plane crash, helicopter crash, collision. Here's the update. We got new video. We're going to look at new video. There's new video from new angles. I believe it's 41 dead. 41. It says 41 dead. 41 bodies have been recovered, with 14 still missing. When there's 67 bodies, we should be looking for. That ain't 67 bodies. Are those other bodies? They're just like, yeah, burned up, gone. I don't know. Anyway, that's the number. Seen all the pictures, just as I predicted. We're just being overwhelmed with pictures of adorable, beautiful young souls and different skating poses and, you know, terrible. Moms, bunch of moms and little kids and, and then there's family members who didn't go, right? So just what a horrible, I don't want to think about it. Let's not think about it, okay? So anyway, we know these things happen. I'm already a bad flyer. Not great. I'm not great with flying anyway. I need to be highly anesthetized before. If the flight's more than 3 hours, yeah, I need to be a little bit messed up. But the good news is that I am not a bad drunk. I'm a good drunk. I'm a happy drunk. People like being around me when I'm a little bit inebriated. So I'm not going to be one of those people who go viral for being escorted off a plane because they won't give me another Jack and Coke rocks. I'm not going to be that guy. But I do need, preferably, my ritual is this. Almost every house or every airport has a TGI Fridays or a place like that. You know, Bennigan's, you know, whatever. You know, I'm talking Applebee's, whatever. Almost every airport has one of these places. So my ritual is typically I get there before my flights and I have some hot wings and I have a 2 shots of Jameson and whatever giant beer they have. You know, they always got a giant beer. They've always got, because they know, they know some people don't have a lot of time and they just want a lot of alcohol because they're getting on a plane. So I'll buy like one of them giant TGI Friday airport beers and I'll do 2 shots and I'll eat my wings. And then before I get on the plane, I'll pop a Xanax or something if I got it. And I know that sounds like a lot, but I'm 100% Irish. I'm 6 foot tall and about 230 pounds. So trust me, you got to trank me with the heavy stuff. And not because I'm a danger to you, but just because my head will go nuts at 30,000 feet because I do not like, look, the whole thing is nonsense. You know what freaks me out? Freaks me out whenever I'm in an airplane and on the armrest, there's still an ashtray. Have you been on a plane that has an armrest with an ashtray? Do you know how old that plane's got to be? They stopped letting you smoke in planes in like the mid-90s, I think. So every plane, oh, God. Yeah, looking at you, Southwest. Last plane I was on had an ashtray. I don't know, unless you're going to tell me that you purchased it from some Turkish airline and that, you know, it was designed for Turkish people because those people smoke. Some Malaysian, you know, airline, those people smoke. They start smoking at like 5 over in Malaysia. Yeah, you don't want to see it. You don't want to see ashtrays on your airplane. Ugh. Anyway, here's a new angle. Let's see this. CNN, I think, got exclusive access to this, and now it's going around. It really shows you, gives you a perspective on the. Well, I'll tell you, it gives you perspective on the idea that it's 100% the helicopter's fault. 100%. This plane was landing. This plane was lined up. You also get an idea from this angle. See it? You get an idea from this angle of how low they were. Look at that. That looks like, I've seen people in Cancun jump from helicopters into the water at what seemed like a higher height. So here we have it. Here we have the Black Hawk right here. And here we have the American Airlines plane. Here we go. All right, I'm going to stop it right here. Geez, look at that. And there it goes. But look at it fall apart. I mean, we're seeing here, this is a giant chunk of plane. This is the fuselage of the plane. I think this might actually be the helicopter. That looks like the helicopter. Maybe, I don't know what that is. Watching it again. Here we go. Oh, God. Look at that. I mean, that's just so clear. Okay, there you have it. All right, we don't need to see anymore. Okay, so, hey, guess what, guys? We've got proof it happened. Somebody to blame? Yeah, absolutely. There's blame. There's a reason. I mean, we can pinpoint what the reason is for this. I told you what it was yesterday. It's our own greed. That air traffic in that particular area has been a red flag for decades. Now it turns out that the night before this happened, there was a near miss. And it turns out that apparently there were over 20 near misses in the last year, and they don't get reported. Oh, they make too big of a deal of it. The night before. So, yeah, it's because we're landing too many planes. This particular flight, this plane, this Wichita to Washington, D.C., it had only been a flight for 12 months. It had started last January. So it was 1 year old, this flight. And it didn't exist before, but they added another flight. They said people, the senators, one of the senators anyway, from Kansas on the night of the accident, he said, I lobbied for this flight. This flight didn't exist. More convenient. It's more convenient. We can fit another plane in that airspace at that time. Not to mention that we've got that crazy covert military clearance going over the Potomac. So we've got Blackhawks coming in and out. By the way, they stopped allowing that. Apparently they decided, maybe we shouldn't have Blackhawks flying at low altitudes while planes are trying to land. Maybe. Going to be a lot of VIPs inconvenienced, though, because that, as we're finding out, is primarily the reason that these helicopters fly these routes along the Pentagon. It is to ferry VIPs who are so above traffic from Langley to the Pentagon to Reagan International Airport. All three of these locations are on the Potomac River. It sure as hell beats being stuck in traffic. So anyway, so that's why those flights occurred with such regularity. They've been canceled. They ain't doing it anymore. Can't fly the Potomac, boys. Sorry, General. You're going to have to sit in traffic. Or whatever. You're still going to take a helicopter. You're just going to take the long way. The long way in a helicopter. Oh, the inhumanity. Also, because we're making all this money landing all these flights and, we're cramming the airspace, let's land more planes. Every plane we land, we make more money. The airlines make more money. We can charge more gate fees. Land, more planes. We need to hire more air traffic controllers. Not in the budget. Sorry. What do you mean it's not in the budget to build more towers and have more air to handle the overload of? It's not in the budget. We can't. But the airlines are getting rich. The airport administrators are getting rich. I'm sure lobbyists and senators with bagman deals are all getting rich. But, so they're understaffed at the airport. You had one air traffic controller doing two jobs. On the night that this plane plane helicopter collision occurred, there was one air traffic controller who was in charge of both vehicles. Now, normally they say that wouldn't be the case, that there would be somebody handling military traffic and another person that handles civilian traffic. And if that were the case, the two people would have talked. The two people would have been speaking to one another about where their things were. But for some reason, and I don't know what the reason is, maybe we'll find out. For some reason, it was just one person doing the job that is, hey, get out of there. Sorry, the dog. One person doing the job that is designed for two people. And they collided. So what do we do when we find out the name of that one person who was doing two jobs? Do we blame them, or do we blame the system that doesn't have money in the budget to hire somebody else to come in to do the thing that would keep us, the general public, the most safe? Do we blame that? No. Let's crucify the individual. I don't know who that air traffic controller is, but we need to make it so they can't walk the streets and feel safe anymore. It's a person who took a job. It's a working person, just like you and just like me. And we're going to allow these powers that be, these higher ups, to go, you know who you should string up is that one individual air traffic. Stop it. You already tried to do it with the Black Hawk helicopter pilot. Did you see that? Some nonsense that was going around. Oh, the pilot was a tranny. Because apparently there's a tranny Black Hawk pilot in the Virginia National Guard. There's one. Apparently there was a newspaper article about it or something. Isn't this great? You got a tranny, whatever. I don't know what the story was. Tranny, trans person, excuse me. I forget that that's not a trans person who is a Black Hawk helicopter pilot, was named in crazy 15% on the right Twitter as being responsible for it. Wrong. I mean, the trans pilot, now has to come out and be like, hey, I'm alive. Wasn't working that night, but thanks. We're going to kill one of our own. We're going to come after one of our own. We're going to come after someone in the middle class. We're going to come after a normal person because we want blood and we want somebody to be blamed. And I'm telling you, that's wrong. Stop it. You're being an asshole. You're being manipulated into thinking that. It is the system and the policies that continue to this day to allow there to not be enough people doing the job that needs to be done to keep us all safe. And why aren't there enough people? Because there's never room in the budget. You know what there's always room in the budget for, though? Steak dinners for lobbyists. Or lobbyists doing steak dinners. Or steak dinners for defense contractors. There you go. Steak dinners for defense contractors are always in the budget, but not paying a dude. And by the way, let's not kid ourselves. Air traffic controllers make nice money. So you got to pay a guy $100 an hour for an 8-hour shift. You got to have some part-time guys here. But no, can't do that. That's not in the budget. But taking the procurement officer for General Dynamics out for steak in a titty bar night, that's in the budget. They always got room for that. The system caused this, not an individual. Certainly not some person doing two jobs, okay? That's not their fault. They showed up for work to do their job, and they were told, guess what? So-and-so didn't show up. You're now doing two jobs. That is not their fault. So let's not destroy somebody. As, it's just a meaningless. No, it's one of us, man. We got to stop turning on each other. Okay, now let's get into some fun. Now let's turn on somebody who isn't one of us. One of them. Let's turn on one of them. Or not turn on them, but let's have some real fun at their expense. Let's talk a little bit about legendary NFL kicker Justin Tucker. Justin Tucker is, of course, he's a bullshit artist is what he is. Justin Tucker's the guy who wears the crucifix on the outside of his thing, and after every kick, he does the thank you, Jesus, and all that. He's a very devout Catholic. He sings at high holy Catholic masses all around the world. Ave Maria, if you recall. Justin Tucker is an opera singer. And let's also be completely honest, possibly the greatest kicker in NFL history. Yeah, he's got the furthest kick, 66 yards, right? Isn't that his record? He's also his percentage, and Justin Tucker can kick that ball. And he's always, reveled in his Catholicism and, how he's above football and he's got greater plans for his life. And hey, look at me singing for the Pope. Ave Maria. Yeah, he's that guy. I feel betrayed because I was always like, I kind of like that guy. That guy seems very genuine. Well, apparently he's not genuine. Apparently he's not even original because he has torn the pages from Deshaun Watson's playbook and landed himself in a sex scandal. Now, quite frankly, I was born Catholic, raised Catholic. I'm lapsed Catholic, so I'm okay. And being lapsed Catholic is why I'm not a perv. People who are hardcore Catholics are pervs. Totally pervert. Get into a sexual conversation with a hardcore Catholic after a couple of drinks. They will go places with it that is so weird. And it's because of the way they have processed a sexual education throughout their life. Sex in the Catholic Church is naughty and bad. And if it ever gets brought up, you deny that you even have it in front of your 8 kids, if possible. Sex is bad. Sex is shameful. Sex is dirty. So that's why there is so much jacked up perversion. It's baked in to modern American Catholicism. They don't let the priests or nuns have sex ever in their lives and then make them live together forever. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. It needs to be changed. Sex is human nature. So you find me a devout Catholic and I'll be like, let's check his search history. Hey, Mr. Devout Catholic, can I look at your computer search? Can I look at what you Google search? Weirdo. Justin Tucker seems to be one of them. Baltimore Ravens star kicker Justin Tucker has been accused of sexually harassing at least 6 massage therapists. See, this is what I mean. Tearing them pages right out of Deshaun Watson's playbook. And the interesting thing is, I believe these are said to have taken place between 2012 and 2016, which is funny because when did Deshaun get dinged? Did Deshaun get dinged around 2019, 2020? Because maybe, after the high profile dinging of Deshaun Watson, if you're Justin Tucker and you're doing the same thing, and I'll explain what they were doing. You might dial it, right? Maybe dial it back, or I don't know. What were they doing? Justin Tucker was going to high-end spas to get weekly body work, as they call it, as professional athletes call it, to get weekly body work, and totally normal, totally reasonable. You tell me you're a professional athlete, and once a week you have a 1-hour session with like a serious massage therapist. I'm like, yeah, I can see how you might need that. You're a professional football athlete. Your body is in a car accident every Sunday. Okay. So I get it. Those are legit massages. There are 2 massage worlds here in America. There is legit, the person who's doing this is actually a doctor as well. They've gone through training and everybody's wearing clothes. Then there's, Chinese strip mall massage day spas, which are a little bit different. Those are whorehouses. That's what they are. They're brothels. They're legalized brothels that we look the other way on because you really don't have vice budget. What are you doing, dog? That was the dog. The dog just decided to completely jack up my camera. What are you doing, dog? Oh my God. Would you lay down? We'll go for a walk in a little bit. I'm talking about the 2 different worlds of massage in this country. So the other one's like a whorehouse, and they're all over. If you've ever driven through an industrial area or industrial part of town, you might see a strip mall that's got like a vape shop, and then there's like a massage place, something that's, you've seen them. So he's going to these high-end places and behaving like he's a trucker, taking a break. That's what you can't do. And apparently that's what Deshaun Watson did. He didn't know the room. Now, apparently he's been banned from 2 high-end spas in the Baltimore area. He claims, Justin Tucker says, I ain't been banned from nowhere. But both managers of the places that he's banned from are on record in the newspaper saying, yeah, I had a conversation with him, told him he wasn't allowed back. And his lawyer is like, oh, really? Not allowed back? Well, then why were they selling him? Why were they sending him emails inviting him to come back and take advantage of special deals? Like, the lawyer's like, oh, he's banned? It's not true. They invited him back, right? That's so disingenuous. Because you and I both know we're on a shit ton of mailing lists. And just because we're banned from somewhere doesn't mean that the social media director knows that and takes your name off the list. Now, you're still going to get the bullshit mailers. Doesn't mean that you weren't banned. Anyway, I thought that was such a bullshit lawyerly thing. They've also, Justin Tucker's side, he's got, okay, so there's like 6 massage therapists that are like, yeah, he's a creep. He asked me to touch it. And then they all 6 claim that he left a deposit there on the table. And they all claim it was wet. It was wet. To which the lawyer says, that could be anything, Your Honor. That could be some baby oil, some massage part, could be sweat. And to which one of the massage parlor girls and one of the massage therapists said, yeah, I'm a woman. I date men. I know what semen is. So, all right. It's messed up. Let me read it to you. The alleged incidents here. We'll give you the full breakdown. Baltimore Ravens star kicker Justin Tucker has been accused of inappropriate sexual behavior by 6 different massage therapists in the Baltimore area. In a report published Thursday by the Baltimore Banner, the therapists detailed numerous instances in which Tucker allegedly exposed his genitals and even brushed his penis against them. The therapists also believe Tucker ejaculated on the massage table after 3 of his treatments. Just 3? He doesn't do that for hey, ladies, just so you know, he doesn't do that for everybody. So good on you if you're one of the magic 3. One therapist identified as E was 21 when she provided the kicker with a massage back in 2014. She said before the massage began, Tucker asked her to focus on his inner thigh muscles because they were tight from kicking. She left the room to allow him to undress and get under the sheets. Is that how it works? You get naked? I wouldn't get naked. Like if I was in the room and she said like, okay, I'm going to give you a moment, get undressed and get under the sheet. I'd be under that sheet in my underwear. If I'm wearing shorts, I'm in shorts. I don't get naked. That's a bit presumptuous, right? I don't know. But again, if that's, I don't know. Like, I don't go to these things. Following standard protocol. All right. When she returned to the room, Tucker had an erection. Again, I would say complimentary. Let's talk about that. A massage therapist who is going to be touching you all over your body, who's been described as 21, and I bet attractive, tells you to get naked and get under the sheets, and she leaves, and she comes back, and she can tell that you've got an erection. And I'm guessing because of the tent effect, she's the sheet. So I'm guessing that, that's how she knew it was an erection. I can see how that would be embarrassing, but given the circumstances, what is the problem there? What I don't get it, man. These things happen. Good on him. He's a young man, Justin Tucker. It's still working. It's just, it doesn't mean anything. And if you walk into a room and a person that you've just said, I'm going to give you the massage of your life, get naked, and you walk into the room and that person has an erection, I don't know how you can be like, ah! So I don't know that she's claiming that she was a victim of that. I don't know what the victimization from that is, but at any rate, she walked, 3 of them walked, he had a boner. We'll just say that. When she returned, Tucker had an erection, she said. Since it's not unusual for a man to briefly become erect during a massage, she said she ignored it. There you go. That's what I was saying. I should have read a little more. Good for you, sweetie. Good for you. You understand. It's embarrassing for sure, but just let's not talk about it. Unless you're going to do something about it. Oh, is that where it went sideways? Maybe that's where it went sideways. Let's read on. Following standard protocol, I'm sorry. When she returned, he had an erection. She said that it's not unusual for a man, so she ignored it and focused on his neck and shoulders. Following standard protocol, she tightly wrapped the sheet around his genital area. Yeah. I don't know what that. All right, I'm gonna try and move on. I don't know why I'm trying to make this sexy. This is obviously a sex crime committed by one of America's favorite football kickers. Following standard protocol, she tightly wrapped the sheets around his genital area, a technique called a diaper drape, she said. But Tucker wriggled his pelvis until the sheets fell away, revealing his genitals. Ta-da! You know what he did? He's like, he was continuously moving his hips, she said, moving his penis, wiggling it, making it bounce, undoing the drapes. Flustered, the therapist asked Tucker to turn onto his stomach so she could work on his back. But at the end of the appointment, he asked her to return to his inner thighs. Tucker was still erect, he said, which she found discomforting. She again secured him in the sheet and stared at the wall while massaging his thighs, she said. When she looked down a few minutes later, she recalled the sheets were gone and he was fully exposed. Feeling certain that this was not an accident, he ended the massage, left the room, and told a supervisor, she recalled. 4 other former employees confirmed to the Banner that she told them this account occurred around the time of the incident. It felt premeditated, she said. It made me feel even more gross because I was pregnant. 21, pregnant, massage, all right. Was she showing? Because that's weird. But like I said, he's like a weird pervert. Catholic sex stuff, man, that's weird, perverted nonsense. I know, I was there. I was raised in it. Never molested or anything, which I guess is good. I don't know, like what kind of favors come with that? Like, point is this. Yeah, he's probably into some weird sex stuff, and the whole pregnancy thing wasn't a deal breaker for him, I'm guessing. I was not welcome. Let's see. He was told, I have never received any complaints from a massage therapist, he says. I have never been dismissed from a massage therapy or bodywork session, and I have never been told that I was not welcome at any spa or any other place of business. In accusing me of misconduct, the article takes innocuous or ambiguous interactions and skews them so out of proportion that they are no longer recognizable, and it presents vague insinuations as fact. This is desperate tabloid fodder, says a spokesperson for Justin Tucker. I don't think the Ravens have responded yet. I think they're like, yeah, we're looking into it. The charges, look, the charges are embarrassing. Again, this is an embarrassing thing. I don't know that I don't know what is the level of crime that occurred here? What is the level of crime? Can we establish that before we go any further? It's not rape. It's not, it's not anything like that. And already he's in a situation where he's naked, he's a man, he's horny. I already told you he's probably into pregnant girls because, he's a little twisted. And she's pregnant, and so he gets an erection. Getting an erection in public, is that illegal? That can't be. It can't be. Hey, we men have been making the laws long enough, right? That can't be a law. No way. Jeff says, you mean you guys don't have a prego kink? I don't know about you weirdos, but I certainly don't. Nuts? That's, oh God. People are broken. You're broken, Jeff. So I don't know, man. I don't know. He hasn't been accused of like physically touching anybody, I guess, unless you say that during the massage he would, move his hips to rub his penis on something, and that can be incidental. It is embarrassing, though. It's embarrassing to learn. Like, does he got a wife? Does he got a wife? Does he's got a wife? No, he has a. I'm sure he's married. He's a good family man. This isn't rare. I mean, this has happened before. This is Bob Kraft, of course, owner of the New England Patriots. He got caught in a Jack Shack down in Florida. He was like, I was just getting my work done. No, you weren't, dude. You were at Miss Ling's Sunset Spa, dude. That is not where a billionaire gets his back work done. You were getting a handy. Who else? There's somebody out there on the West Coast. Got Jerry Rice. I think Jerry Rice got busted in a massage parlor sting. All right, there you go. That's the Justin Tucker news. So let's move on from that. Let's see. What else do we have here? Other things people are talking about today. Let's see. We got Justin Tucker. Let's get into the Bryce Mitchell stuff. Okay. So Bryce Mitchell is a UFC fighter, and he's a good fighter. And he's like, he's I don't know. I don't know how good he is. I just know that I think he's kind of good, but whatever. So Bryce Mitchell is everything terrible about a human being rolled into one, with the added bonus of, if you don't like it, he can kick your ass, right? So that's like just such a problem. Oh my God, he's a reprehensible human being, and he could kick my ass. Even though he's a little guy, I think he's a lightweight. So, but still, he kick your ass. Sorry, he'll kick your ass. He'll Heil Hitler. He'll call you a Jew lover, and then he'll kick your ass. That's the reality of it. So you got to shoot him, or you gotta bring a whole bunch of people. He's an idiot. Started a podcast the other day. So let's listen to Bryce Mitchell, UFC fighter, on his new podcast. Okay, here we go. This was episode 1, by the way. Oh, is it gone? Oh, it's not gone. Good. All right, here he is. UFC fighter Bryce Mitchell. Debut podcast, episode 1.
Hitler, hell and the Nazis. I really don't think that he was, because I honestly think that Hitler was a good guy based upon my own research, not my public education indoctrination. I really do think before Hitler got on meth, he was a guy to go fishing with. He fought for his country. He wanted to purify it by kicking the greedy Jews out that were destroying his country and turning them all into gays. They were gaying out the kids. They were queering out the women. They were queering out the dudes.
Huh.
They were, you know what her first tranny surgery ever was? Happened to be in Germany before Hitler took over. You know the books that everybody makes fun of Hitler burning? You know what the books was? Queer books. Hitler burned queer books because Hitler didn't want a bunch of queers destroying his nation. They can't produce children.
I don't know how you define queer books. He was burning books by Jewish authors.
But what about...
all right, there you have it. That's quite the podcast debut for UFC up-and-coming fighter Bryce Mitchell. I'm wondering if that's going to affect any of his sponsorships. I'm wondering if... that's kind of special, right? That's somebody being that's 2025. That's a young man in 2025 who doesn't know anything. I guess we can just stay there. Let's just say he doesn't know anything. Bryce Mitchell. Now, Dana White, Bryce Mitchell's boss, was asked about this situation last night. That was posted yesterday. Dana White was doing his Slap Fighter League event, had a press conference, was asked, I believe it's Ariel Helwani, or at least Ariel posted. Oh, no, he wasn't asked. He wasn't. Dana just opened the press conference with this. All right, so let's listen. We just heard what Bryce Mitchell, UFC fighter, said on his first podcast earlier in the day. Here's Dana White responding to that last night.
So before we get started here, let me get some fucking dumb shit out of the way first here. I'm out here, have fun doing Power Slap tonight. And I'm sure you guys heard what Bryce Mitchell said. If you haven't, he said some I've heard a lot of dumb, ignorant shit in my day, but this one's probably the worst. When you talk about Hitler, he was responsible for the death of 6 million Jews, and he tried to completely eliminate a race of people. World War II was the deadliest war in history. 15 million military deaths, 45 million civilians, and 25 million soldiers were killed in World War II. Second of all, Hitler is one of the most disgusting and evil human beings to ever walk the face of the earth. And anyone that even tries to take an opposing position is a moron. That's the problem with the internet and social media. You provide a platform for a lot of dumb, ignorant people. We've obviously reached out to Bryce, and when we read what he said and let him know how we feel about it, we're beyond disgusted. So for those of you that don't know what's going on, good, you're lucky. For those of you that do, that's what I have to say about it. Who's got the first question?
Hey, Dana.
Hey.
It's obviously not a fun topic to talk about the Bryce stuff. I think that's a great statement that you just gave. Does Bryce Mitchell face a punishment from the UFC for saying what he
That's what
said?
everybody wants to hear about punishments. Free speech. I don't have to love it. You don't have to love it. You know.
I agree with that, the free speech sentiment. Is there a concern, though, right, if he goes out and wins a fight and gets a mic?
Well, that's the beautiful thing about this business. For all of you that hate Bryce Mitchell, you get to see him hopefully get his ass whooped on global television. I mean, what do you want me to say about it? You know where I am with free speech. We're disgusted by it. I think he's probably one of the dumbest, literally one of the dumbest human beings. Let's not forget that this is a guy who took a drill through his nutsack, then had to reverse it and put the drill back out of his. That's the level of stupid that we're talking about here. And I could probably go on for 10 minutes talking about how dumb Bryce Mitchell is. But guess what? Bryce Mitchell has a podcast.
I believe this was episode 1.
What a way to start. But that's the world that we live in now. Dumb people who are really stupid and really ignorant can have a voice. We don't have to agree with it. We don't have to like it. I'm giving you mine and the UFC's position on what he had to say. You know, and this is no different than things that I've said about Strickland, you know. But I will say this. Out of all the dumb, ignorant shit I've heard in my life, this has to be the dumbest and most ignorant.
Last thing from me on this. When you spoke to Bryce about it and said, this is disgusting, did he have any sort of like, oh, I was just talking, or did he walk it back at all?
His thing was, I'm sorry if I put you guys in any position, and, you know.
But not sorry for saying.
He's stupid. He's dumb. You can't fix dumb people. You know what I mean? When you have somebody that's really, really stupid, and that's who we're talking about here, what do? How do you talk sense to a dummy?
Oh, my God. I don't know, Dana. How do you talk sense to a dummy? I'll say this. I wish I had a producer. I wish I had like if I had a radio show, there are so many drops. There's so many. He's stupid. You can't fix stupid. I mean, there's just so many great. All right. So of course, the great controversy now is that Dana White, UFC, the boss of Bryce Mitchell, who went on his podcast, The Bryce Mitchell Show, and said all kinds of, I mean, you know what he said. You heard what he said. We played what he said. Dana gets up, says, look, he's an idiot. He said it, blah, blah, blah. Dumbest person ever. You can tell Dana doesn't like this guy. But no penalty. Guy who runs the UFC, not going to fine him, not going to fire him. It's kind of shocking, right? What? What do you mean that his employer, after he goes out, unrelated to his business with the employer, but he goes out and he on the street and he says some things, you mean the employer isn't going to fire him? Now, why in the past would the employer fire somebody for something like this? Because of pressure from outside, voices, advertisers, We got 1,000 phone calls and now we have to fire you. And then they put out a press release. So-and-so is no longer employed by Funko Incorporated, or whatever it is. That's usually what happens. That's pressure. That's outside pressure to end somebody's career because they said something that you don't agree with. And that's kind of what Dana White pushed back against there. That idea that he has to be fined or that he has to be fired. And then he leaned on the First Amendment aspects of it. He's allowed to say what he's allowed to say and let the chips fall where they may. A lot of people are shocked by that. A lot of people I can't believe he didn't. Well, I'm not. And I actually think it's a breath of fresh air. I think I don't know if you wanted to say, if Dana White wanted to come out and say, you know what, I believe in a person's right to say whatever stupid shit they want to say. But what he said was so personally offensive to me, I don't want him anywhere near this thing that I have, so you're fired. That's what I would have done. Dana White didn't go there. Dana White stood on the First Amendment, and he's got a point. He's got a point. Now, without being a guy that makes a big public show of, it's outrageous, he will never fight in the UFC again, instead of being that guy, which is the guy that we've seen, not from him, but in positions of power since we started firing people because people got outraged, right? There's always been the complicit CEO who is bowing to outside voices. This kind of thing really started, and I know about this because it started in Chicago. Yes, I know. Everything starts in Chicago. The idea of putting collective pressure on a corporate entity started with Jesse Jackson and Operation Push. And that was in the late 1970s. The idea was that Jesse Jackson would become a national voice for Black people. He would create these chapters throughout the country. And when a company like, General Motors didn't hire enough African Americans, he would then have the power of this organization to go and demand they make changes. That was the idea. Now we have social media where let's get this person fired is like a much easier thing to collect people who are outraged. I've always said that we got to stop doing this. We got to stop canceling people because 1,000 completely unrelated people all happen to be typing their anger on the same thread. That's not a movement. That's just a bunch of random, there's billions of people on this planet. If we're going to honestly judge people based on that, then we need to include the entire world. We need all 8 billion people to check in. Because yes, the people who are upset by that are all making their voices known. Meanwhile, there's billions of other people on this planet who are like, yeah, he's an asshole. I'm just going to ignore it. That's kind of what I see Dana White doing here. Dana White said exactly what he needed to say. This guy's an idiot. This guy's a moron. But no, I'm not going to publicly fine him or fire him because that shit's done. We're not doing that anymore. So what do I think we're going to see for Bryce Mitchell? I think that Bryce Mitchell might get one more fight because Dana is a promoter. Dana will be like, yeah, the asshole. Maybe we find some Arab fighter. Maybe Khabib comes out to fight this white supremacist and just kick the fuck out of him, right? That's not beyond Dana. So what happens next? Oh, I think Bryce Mitchell's career, as far as somebody they're going to shine a spotlight on in the UFC, is over. And Dana doesn't have to say that. Dana's just like, yeah, he'll never make a main card again. He'll get one main card if I can get Khabib Nurmagomedov to come out of retirement and beat the fuck out of this guy. That'll be his last main card. This dude's going to be fighting preliminary cards for the rest of his life. His career as somebody that the UFC is going to celebrate as a champion, well, that's over. We don't even have to, pretend that he fired him. No, it's over. He's never going to be. Do you know how much money is now? And by the way, Endeavor owns the UFC, not Dana White. Dana White is just the president. Endeavor is a major sports management and I think also films and stuff company. Like the William Morris Agency. It's one of those. It's a massive agency. Super powerful. They're not going to allow this guy to be a star. So what my takeaway is from Dana White's response to that Bryce Mitchell thing, I think it was performative in the Trump era, where he's, going to say, I'm not going to do what the liberals want, which is to fire him, while at the very same time saying everything that we want to hear him say. And then also knowing that the dude's career in the UFC is over. And Dana doesn't have to say that. Dana didn't want to promote this guy. Dana's not going to promote this guy. As I said, maybe one more time against somebody like Khabib, an Islamic fighter who is absolutely going to come in and destroy this dude. So maybe that. I don't know. That's the story of Bryce Mitchell. Now we can all forget his name. But I'm not as offended by what Dana White said there. I love him coming out hot. Common sense. He's the dumbest fucker on the planet. You guys heard what he said. He's an idiot. No, I'm not going to fight him or fire him. You guys decide. You don't watch his fights. We won't put him on. He gets his ass kicked. He doesn't have the advertisers. There's a lot of big advertisers involved with Endeavor in the UFC. Bud Light, all of these things. You people want to turn your attention to putting pressure on Bud Light. Bud Light then might turn and put pressure on Endeavor, and you might get what you want. But Dana White doesn't have to do that. Dana White's just like, hey, he's an idiot. Let's see what happens. People, I'm not just going to fire people out. It's like Al Franken retiring from the Senate. Remember when he retired? Remember when he resigned? Because he thought he was doing the right thing? Nah, fuck that. Different times, man. Different times. You'll never see him on TV. Again, unless they make a stunt fight where he just gets his ass kicked by somebody far better and of a different race than him. I can see that. Yeah, the UFC and now with Endeavor at the controls, they don't want to be associated with the whole right-wing thing, even though it's kind of hard to ignore because there are a lot of far-right fighters. But that's not bankable. That's not Endeavor's business model. So mainstream, TV, network, NBA, NFL, that kind of thing. That's the model that they're shooting for. Endeavor didn't spend billions of dollars to have this, mid-level entertainment entity. No, they want to take it big. These are the kinds of things that'll slow that down. Sorry, I'm being distracted by something on TV. Trump's talking. And I just, I can't drop everything when he talks. I just can't. No matter how much I want to drop everything when Trump talks. I want to drop everything. I want to drop everything and just watch. Just listen to him. Just enjoy the madness. Just, what did he say? Who's to blame now? He blamed, in that first press conference. I said this on Twitter. I'm like, the opening press conference that he gave concerning the plane crash, the first 5 minutes were absolutely beautiful. First 5 minutes, very, very presidential. Somber. Of course, those were the 5 minutes that he was reading. He was reading a prepared script with words that came out of somebody else's head, fueled by somebody else's heart. And he read that, and it was great. And then it was 15 minutes of Alex Jones' show guest, where he blamed 3 different things. I'll tell you who did it. He blamed 3 different things. He's nuts. He's fun. And I'm not going to be distracted by I'm not going to. Not, even though I'm sure he's saying something crazy. Let me see. Is he taking questions? It's my favorite when he takes questions.
Let's see, where did I get more votes, Tennessee or North Carolina? I hate to tell you, North Carolina, it was Tennessee. There's one of the counties in this disaster. Okay, I don't know. I just tuned in for a second, and he's talking about I got more votes in Tennessee than I did in North Carolina. Oh, for crying out loud, dude. Oh, you are a fun person. Let's hope we survive. I promised to give you this one. We're keeping track of all of the January 6 people who were just pardoned just with a sweeping. Hey, maybe we should have gone through that list a little bit, and been like, okay, but did they do other things like this dude? So there was a dude that was in prison. He was in prison for January 6, and he got pardoned. But he wasn't just in prison for January 6th. He was also in prison because he's a child molester. And he was awaiting trial on the child molester thing. It's once he got busted for the January 6th, there were warrants out for him for child molestation. So they're like, oh, okay, well, he's going through that. So we know where he is. And then Trump just let everybody out. And he got out. And if you're keeping tabs, in the last week, we have had one guy who was pardoned by January 6th, shot by a Jasper, Indiana police officer and killed. because he couldn't handle a police pullover. You went a little nuts. Great people, though. I mean, for the most part, they were great people. Couldn't handle a police pullover. Ends up dead. Okay? And then yesterday we had a chick. We told you about this chick who was pardoned. She did like 30 days. She was already out of prison. But that's okay because she was sentenced to 10 years in prison for another charge. She got drunk, drove the wrong way, and killed a mom. So that's that one. And now we got this guy. Well, he's after our own local hearts because he's a Texan. That's right. A warrant. Texas man pardoned over Capitol riot, wanted for soliciting a minor. A Texas man who was pardoned by Trump for his role in the Capitol riots is wanted by authorities on the charge of soliciting a minor online. 36-year-old Texan Andrew Take. Andrew Take is who we're looking for. He was released from prison under President Trump's sweeping pardons last week. But he was not supposed to be because he was being held also by authorities on a 2016 charge of soliciting a minor for sex. He's out in the wind now. But that's okay. Releasing pedophiles to own the libs. Is that what you're saying, Byron? Is that... Come on, man. That was dumb. The way he did it was dumb. A lot of people could probably have been, released, and the rest of us would have been like, yeah, okay, I understand that. But obviously, you let out a bunch of crazy people, and we're already seeing nonsense associated with them. People are nuts. People are nuts. You're such joiners. You're all such joiners. You don't know that you didn't go. Like normal people, like I got friends in MAGA. I always say to them, you didn't go to January 6th. Why? Because you're not weird. Because you're like, well, I really do support Trump and I think that this is a great movement, but I got to work. But and I ain't going to spend that much. No, normal people didn't go. Almost all the people who went are fucking weird, man. They're just weird. Okay? Not all of them, but a lot of them. Some of them were opportunists. A whole bunch of them were live streamers just trying to get good action. But no, come on, man. Stop associating with the weirdos. You can be pro-Trump, you can be MAGA, and you can also go, yeah, some of those people are fucking weird. On Monday, I promise you we'll have another January 6th pardon who is in the news because they couldn't handle their second weekend of freedom. Something's going to go down. Just watch. Hey, this is fun. Check this out. Local news story. This is a story concerning some wonderful down there in South Oak Cliff High School. This is the funniest damn thing. I'm sorry. Again, Trump won, so I'm not as worried about things that I find funny and sharing them and making them public. This is funny. And what's even more funny about this is that when you listen to the news reporter, we're going to watch a news story. When you listen to the news reporter, the central attraction in this story is the drummer boy. Okay, there's a drummer boy in this story. He's the most important aspect of the story. The whole story is about the drummer boy who has been integrated into the South Oak Cliff cheerleading squad. Oh, and people are loving it. Okay, so that's what the story's about. So the reporter who's giving you the story, she starts talking about the drummer boy. For some weird reason, she only says his first name. She doesn't describe the drummer boy the way that everybody... 15-year-old sophomore Jeremiah Davidson, that's how they do it. No, she doesn't do it. She goes, his name is like Kishendrick or something. You'll see. She goes, sophomore drummer Kishendrick. I'm like, nah, say the last name. And I thought it was weird. She didn't say the last name. And then I watched the story and I'm like, oh, I get it now. Here we go. Some kids doing some cool things. South Oak Cliff. This story is from NBC5 here in Dallas. Watch.
In South Oak Cliff, students, parents, and fans are all cheering for the cheerleaders. Okay, and that's because when they step out on the sideline, SOC cheerleaders, okay, they don't come to play. Except one of them. She does. Noah Walker explains.
All right, let's go.
1, 2, 3, 4.
At South Oak Cliff High School,
8, 9.
cheerleaders
Switch.
stretch the boundaries of what's possible
Start from the beginning. Let's go.
under the direction of Coach G.
Full volume.
Cheerleaders are a mix of athlete
Stand clean.
and dancer, all rolled into one.
I give them a lot of things to do that amaze me.
Prepare to be
Okay, y'all ready?
amazed.
Okay, 5, 6.
This is what you can do when you have a cheerleader like sophomore Keizydrick, who's all
Okay, Keizydrick. When you have a sophomore like Keizydrick what? That's weird. Why you would do? Look, I have written, this is bad, it's bad. You write the name. It's a name. You put the person's full name. For some reason, Keizydrick isn't getting
also
fully name
in the
checked.
band. When you have a cheerleader like sophomore Keizydrick, who's also in the band.
I was actually scrolling through Instagram and saw a college do it. And I thought to myself,
Can we just, for a second, can I look? I'm a white guy. Sorry, white guy, middle-aged. We've already heard Keizydrick. Great name. Fantastic. Top shelf name. Keizydrick. Never heard of Keizydrick. I never met a Keizydrick. It's a good name. What's going on here with this lady? What is that? Get queer? You have never met another Get Queer. I'm telling you, the African-American parents of the past 30 years have they've just done wonders with naming. All right, let's keep going. Remember, Keizydrick is the drummer. We're going to meet Keizydrick.
we have a band member. Let's try it.
It's them and me. I got to make sure I stay locked in the body and stuff. I might slip up sometimes.
Okay. So do you see the problem? Meet Keizydrick Faggot. They were afraid to talk about him or say his name. I'm telling you, at no point are you going to have I don't believe, maybe I'll watch the whole thing. If I'm being honest, I didn't get much past this part. I watched the original story last night and I got to this part and I'm like, I don't think they're going to say his last name. This is 15-year-old. Oh, by the way, it's cool. Like, this is a cool thing. I'm just saying.
But you and me,
and I thought
we just all agree it's an unfortunate name, and it's so unfortunate that it's extremely funny.
And saw a college do it. And I thought to myself, we have a band member. Let's try it.
It's them and me. I got to make sure I stay locked in the body and stuff. I might slip up sometimes, but I still do it,
Not easy.
No, it's not. It's not.
Oh, it's hard. It's definitely hard because it's a trust factor.
All right, let's watch.
It's also a
awesome.
huge hit on the sidelines. No other cheer squad in the district does this.
When they embrace what we're doing, they are excellent at it. And they go all out, they have the buy-in, and they do whatever they can do to make sure that they pull it off.
Whew. You couldn't do this with a tuba player.
No.
The fuck?
But we would if we thought we could do
right.
it. Get up.
In Dallas, Noel Walker.
Say his name, coward. Say his name, coward. No, they're not going to say his name. I hope I'm not mispronouncing Keizydrick Faggot's last name. Fagget. They refuse to say it on NBC. What if it's like Faget? You got to do that, right? You got to say your name is Faget. It's Faget. There's also an elephant in the room that I haven't even mentioned. Somebody in the chat room? Yeah. Oh, sure. Jeff went there. Jeff can always be counted on. It is kind of weird, right? It would be like if my name was like, Pugs Fatbald, right? I mean, it's, Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Pugs Fatbald show. All right, we're going to move on. I just thought it was interesting that NBC5 was cowardly in giving that boy and his proud family the credit that they deserved last night. Personally, I wish Kizedric Faget and the South Oak Cliff, the cheerleading squad, all the luck at nationals. I don't know. They go into nationals. I don't even think that was a part of the story. All right, let's keep going. Here we go. What else do we have? Here, this is a feel-good one. This is a real feel-good story. So remember, so we haven't talked about this stuff. We don't talk about this stuff. I don't want to go there. I'm not going to normalize having conversations about Nazis or Nazism. So, we haven't talked about the salute. We haven't talked about Eli. I'm not going there. I don't care. I know what I saw. I know what I saw. I know what I think about it. If I'm going to talk to you about it and you're going to disagree with me, I'm going to instantly lose respect for you, and I don't want that to happen, so we're not talking about it. We're not talking about it. I know what I saw. I know what I saw. Fuck you. I'm smart. I do things. Not that smart, but you know what I mean? I know what I saw. So I haven't talked about that whole thing. But did you see the priest at the pro-life rally in Washington, D.C.? There's some Anglican priest, which, let's be honest, that's not even a real priest. Anglican Catholic priest. No such thing. You're either a Catholic or you're one of those people who formed a pretend religion in England when the Pope wouldn't grant King Henry VIII a divorce. Because that's what the Anglican Church is. It's just like, it's the church it's the new pretend made-up church that allowed Henry VIII. It's why there used to be Catholicism in England. That's why there's an Anglican church. Anyway, he's an Anglican priest. He gets up in front of the pro-life people and he makes a little joke, or at least he said it was a joke. He does the salute. He does, those. I'll tell you what. First of all, I'm not going to do it because I don't need anybody freeze framing it. But Barney, but you know what a Nazi salute is. Like, if you see those things. So the priest does it. And he's very cocky. Like the way he did, he's like, yeah, ha ha. He does that whole thing. Ha, all cocky. And people are like, what? I can't imagine. People are freaking out online. I was just like, oh, shit. We're really normalizing this, aren't we? This isn't a shocking thing. By the end of the week, we're just going to be like, yeah, everybody does it. No. So anyway, I thought it would go away. And it hasn't really gone away. It's actually, we've got an update on it. That priest is no longer a priest. That's right. His little joke got him defrocked. He is not a priest any longer. I mean, you think he thought that was going to happen? Because he was so cocky about it. He was like the look on his face. Blah, blah. Here, actually, maybe they got the video. Calvin Robinson is the guy's name. Michigan priest has been defrocked after making apparent Nazi salute at anti-abortion summit. A Michigan priest with the Anglican Church has been removed from his position for making what appears to be a Nazi salute. Here's why it's so interesting. He's Anglican. That's the Church of England. That's the place that was carpet bombed by the Luftwaffe, by the Nazis. There is so little regard for Nazism or normalizing it or whatever in that country. The Anglican Church, the Church of England, has one of their priests over here in America trying to normalize the Nazi salute and saying, I was just being funny. Calvin Robinson, who held the title of priest in charge at St. Paul's Anglican Church in Grand Rapids, Michigan, performed the gesture at the end of the January 25th speech at the National Pro-Life Summit in Washington, D.C. The priest appeared to quote Elon Musk, saying, "My heart goes out to you," before mimicking his straight arm motion. According to a statement on the Anglican Church's website, Robinson's license in the church was subsequently revoked, and he will no longer serve as a priest. Here's what the Anglican Church says. We believe that those who see this is like he no longer serve as a priest. So he'll just go be an evangelical. See, this is what I mean about, this is like why me as a Catholic, why I like look at like churches that have dudes with ponytails playing guitar. And I'm like, this ain't a real church. You know why? Because the dude who's up there supposedly instructing you on the word of God is just a dude. Just a dude. He's probably divorced. He's just like a dude. There's no licensing involved, although there's probably a made-up licensing. Like there's probably some some like national evangelical where it's like you got to pay your dues and then we're like, you're a real one. No, but the Catholic Church, it's like you gotta be like a virgin forever. It's a whole lot more shit. So the Anglicans, they think they have some magic power that makes him a man of God, and they have now taken that magic power away. He has been defrauded. But like I said, he can still minister to people, right? The evangelicals do it. They don't have any kind of process like the nuns or the priests or, real religions have, rabbis. Real religions. At some point, one of my evangelical people are just going to punch me in the face for something that I so snarkily said on here. According to a statement on the Anglican Church's website, Robinson's license was subsequently revoked. It says, "We believe that those who mimic the Nazi salute, even as a joke or an attempt to troll their opponents, trivialize the horror of the Holocaust and diminish the sacrifice of those who fought against its perpetrators." The statement reads, "Such actions are harmful, divisive, and contrary to the tenets of Christianity." Couldn't agree more. Certainly contrary to the tenets of Jesus. Couldn't agree more. I agree completely with that statement. We're normalizing shit that shouldn't be normalized. So whatever, but genie's out of the bottle. We're doing this. Let's go. Let's see how crazy we can get. Speaking of, are you guys familiar with the movie Amelia Perez? I keep evolving on this movie. Like 2 weeks ago, it got nominated for a whole bunch of awards and stuff. And I'm like, I've never seen this movie. And then I learned that it's about a drug cartel. It's about a cartel boss who becomes a woman. It's about a cartel boss who goes through a trans thing. So I don't know. Is it like Because if you told me the next season of Narcos, because I love Narcos. Like Narcos, yeah, man, it's going to be great. It's about a cartel boss. Oh, check this out. It's the cartel boss is trans. I'd be like, ooh, that's going to be wild. I'd watch that. But that's not how they marketed this Amelia Perez. I didn't know it was about a drug dealer. And is it violent? I understand they're singing, which makes me think, nope, probably not violent. But anyway, Hollywood has just, been really celebrating Amelia Perez in the way that Hollywood does these kinds of things. So fantastic. She's so wonderful. What's the chick's name? Sophia Gascon. Sophia Gascon is the actress's name. She is a trans woman. She's a real trans woman. I guess she's nominated for an Oscar. It's going to be a big moment. And, if it's deserved, hey, great. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. I don't know how good she is. So I can't really comment on that. But I do know this. Hollywood is just so good. She's a marvel. Her is a marvel. Like, that's Hollywood's attitude on this whole thing. And it's really funny because guess what? It turns out that the actress Sophia Gascon, or is it Carla Sophia Gascon? It's Carla Sophia Gascon. Turns out the actress Carla Sophia Gascon sucks. Like, as a human, like, just sucks. She's like, yeah, she's a trans woman, but she's way more Caitlyn Jenner than she is anything else. So now a whole bunch of trolls have found all kinds of tweets and stuff that the Hollywood trans actress who's being celebrated, whole bunch of just awful tweets. She's a racist. She doesn't like Muslims or Islam. Yeah, man. All right, so here it goes. Amelia Perez star Carla Sophia Gascon apologizes for old posts and deactivates her ex account. Here, let's check her out. I'm not even sure what. Okay, you know what? Okay, so let's look. Let's look. Here we go. This is the person we're talking about. All right, here you go. I'm guessing the one on the. I'm guessing this one. I'm just, I know, going by jawline, but I'm thinking, thinking that one. All right, so let me read you the story. Hold on, sorry, I got to pull that up just so we can look at her. Has anybody seen the movie, by the way, Amelia Perez? I haven't. I don't know if it's any good. Well, I mean, it's probably pretty good because I don't know. I don't know if it's any good because you see, it stars a trans actress. And I really do believe that Hollywood would be looking to honor something like, so I don't know. I mean, it might be, is it good? Like, is it really good? I'll give you an example. Do you remember the South Korean film from a couple of years ago that won for Best Picture? And it was like, wow, Hollywood gave a foreign film with subtitles the Best Picture. We were all shocked. Parasite, is that what it was called or something? Well, there was like a big push behind that. This film, filmmaking really is the world's game now. And, the Academy really needs, and so they awarded that film. And I remember thinking, oh, God. But then I saw that film and it was awesome. I mean, it was good. It wasn't just good because they were looking to show that the Academy was now going global, right? No, it was good. It was deservedly good. That's a cool movie, man. And I forgot I was reading. 10 minutes in, I forgot I'm reading. It's all subtitles. So I don't know if that's the case with this Amelia Perez. I don't know if it's just hype, inclusion hype, the Hollywood hype machine was, the budgets and, all of this is going to be great for trans awareness. And they gave her an award. So it turns out she sucks. That's the problem. Okay, so here we go. New York. Oscar-nominated trans actor and star of the movie Amelia Perez is now apologizing for old posts on social media that denigrated Islam. Like, there's a whole bunch of them where she's like, I hate these people. And then other ones where she called George Floyd a drug addict and a hustler. There you go. She also doesn't like Black Lives Matter. Telling you, she's Caitlyn Jenner. Hollywood went and they just thought, because this is what Hollywood does. Oh, she's one thing. That means she must completely represent everything that we project to be the values of that one thing. No, people are complicated, man. Yeah, she's a trans woman. And yeah, this is a big moment for trans people. But I don't think she checks all the boxes that you wanted, Hollywood. And you're finding that out now. Here's what she says. She says, as someone in a marginalized community, I know this suffering all too well, and I am deeply sorry to those I have caused pain. That's what she said. She probably said it in a much deeper voice than me. I'd make a good trans woman because I have a womanly voice. The actor said in a statement Thursday via Netflix, where her film can be streamed, she said, all my life I have fought for a better world. I believe light will always triumph over darkness. Yeah. And then she's shit posting. George Floyd deserved what he got. But also, all her life, she's fought for a better world and believes that light will always triumph over darkness. Oh, shut up with that bullshit. You know what you are? You are your tweets. You are your tweets, not your carefully manicured public statements to clean up the mess created by who you really are in your tweets. When you're famous and you have something to lose, all of a sudden you disavow everything about who you were when you didn't think you had anything to lose. Anyway, there you have it. The Amelia Perez actress kind of sucks. Hollywood doesn't know what to do now. Okay, a couple of things here. We'll end on these. What time did we start today's show? Was it 1:15? About 1:15, 2:15, 3:15. Okay, wanted to make sure I just gave the full 2 hours. Marian Faithfull died. Marian Faithfull, she was one of the leading female peoples. In the British invasion, she was discovered at a party for the Rolling Stones in 1964 by their manager. She was 16 and she was beautiful. And yeah, go ahead, connect the dots. I'll wait. She was 16. She was in London at a party with the Rolling Stones, and the manager of the Rolling Stones at the time, a man, Andrew Eaton, I forgot his name, but he was like in his mid-30s. She was 16. And he approached her at the Rolling Stones party where the 16-year-old girl was invited. And he was like, I'm going to make you a star. So 16-year-old Marianne Faithfull was swept up into that whole thing. They put her in a studio. They let her write some songs. They made her a star. By the time she was 17, she was one of the most talked about female voices in the British invasion. Got passed around by a number of people before she settled into a relationship with Mick Jagger, which lasted for, I think, about a year or so. But they were, when the Rolling Stones were really the Rolling Stones, it was Mick Jagger and Marianne Faithfull. They were the Kurt and Courtney of their time. Mick Jagger got tired of her, kicked her aside. I think because she got pregnant with another man's baby, but whatever. By the time she was 22, 23, Marianne Faithfull was a has-been living on the streets of London and hustling for money. Yeah, she's got a real story. It was a couple of years later when she got her shit together, and I guess she had a bit of a career resurgence. And then by that time, the 80s had rolled around, and there was so much fondness and sentiment looking back at the 1960s and the British invasion that she was able to, turn that into a career in the 80s. That's where I first became aware of Marianne Faithfull. MTV would trot her out whenever they wanted to go, see, we know music history. She was a cool lady, man. Drug addict, party girl, hot, also talented, though. She was a singer. She also did some acting, But it is interesting how it all came to be. It all came to be because a bunch of middle-aged men invited some teenage girls to party with the Rolling Stones. But now let's talk about P. Diddy and how awful he is. See, this is what I say, folks. We don't want to overturn these rocks. How many 12-year-olds do you think Mick Jagger has had sex with? Any? Because if your answer to that is yes, then you better completely change the way you think about Mick. I'm telling you, man, there were different rules, so we better be careful about. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? Justin Bieber. Let's talk about him. We'll end the show with Justin Bieber. What's going on with him? Everybody says Justin Bieber is like, he's unfriended his wife on all social media platforms. Well, that's something a married man can only dream about. But no, Bieber actually unfriended his wife. Here's a picture. Here's a picture of him. Let's move on to Bieber. Here's a picture of him here. They're saying he looks terrible. And I'm like, I should look so terrible. There he is, Justin Bieber. Hold on. Because he shaved his head? Does he look a little skinny? We can't really tell because he's wearing a baggy. You know what he looks? He looks like he's not 15 anymore, and he's got a weird, ironic mustache and a shaved head. He's probably svelte and skinny to begin with, so his default body type is, concentration camp. I don't know. They're saying there's something wrong with him. Only time will tell. All right, folks, that's it. I got nothing else. One more time, I want to thank our executive producer on this Friday show, the wonderful Cece. Check out the Sports Bras at Sports Bras, YouTube, Facebook, all of that. Fun little local sports podcast by a couple of dudes who are quite the personalities. Cece was our executive producer today. We appreciate that. Who's going to be Monday's executive producer? Well, I just don't know. But I'll tell you, whoever the biggest tipper of the show is, will hold that title. So thank you to anybody who dropped anything. I didn't hear anything, but whatever. It's always nice to be positive. Anything else? There's no football this weekend. What am I going to do this weekend? Basketball? It is way too early. Way too early. College basketball in January? What's wrong with you, dork? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. This is truly the weekend without sports. We'll survive. All right, we'll see you on Monday. I love you. We are Radio Misfits Dallas. RadioMisfits.com, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios every Monday through Friday at noon-ish.